Hey guys, this is Eugene from Audio Huddle. On episode 3, we'll be a little bit more analytically driven because we'll be talking about the awards, specifically between Giannis and Harden for the MVP race, the Most Improved Player award, as well as the Rookie of the Year award. So we hope you guys bear with us for the more analytically driven episode, and we hope you guys do enjoy it. Thank you. Hey guys, welcome back to episode 3 of Audio Huddle. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in for episode 2 and 1. Please remember to give us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening to. Again, remember, we are on iTunes and Spotify officially. Although we are forever Podbean gang, we do understand that most people don't use a Podbean. So if you guys want, for ease of access, use iTunes or Spotify. But always remember to slap us the 5 stars. Now, Tommy, do you actually know what a 5-star is?
Yeah, it's a 5-star review, right?
No. Have you ever heard of the 5-star slap?
No. What is the 5-star slap?
So basically, you gotta have to be kind of sweaty or wet. So I learned this in high school where you just kind of finish gym class and you're all like sweaty, hot, and moist. You all take off your shirt with the boys and stuff, and to show that you're a real man, you ain't pussy, you just get slapped in the back really hard with everyone's full palm spread out, so it looks like a 5-star.
So do you get hit only once, or does everyone take turns and slaps you in the back?
It really depends. Normally it's just supposed to be one person, but a sneaky bastard might come in and give you a quick clap. Then you go and you slap them too. So by the end of the time we finish changing, we all come out with sensitive backs and we don't wear backpacks.
So did you go to a Catholic all-boys school?
No. I went to a normal public school in Markham.
And you guys do this for fun?
Yeah, we also did planking too.
Like regular planks?
Yeah, planking back in grade 10 where you just lay down.
Oh, like in a Superman position and you just...
Yeah, that.
Yo, people actually die from that.
Wait, what?
Yeah, there are some incidents when they try to, outdo someone and do some extreme planking, and they actually fall off and die. It was a big issue.
Well, that's fucking stupid. We just planked on the benches where the worst we can get is pink eyes from farts. So, guys, actually, we have a little thing going on at the end of the episode. Right, Tommy?
Yes. So please stay tuned to the end of the episode for a very big announcement. It's going to be very juicy.
Speaking of juicy, we got a lot of feedback from episode 2 about 2 things that we absolutely do need to address. I'll start off by saying, yes, I'm bad at math. Yes, I was in the zone. No, I'm likely not going to change my math mistake.
We tried so hard to just not roast him on it and hope that no one catches on the fact that he thought that 2019 minus 2005 was 16 and used it for his controversial Illuminati bullshit that he's on. But everyone called him out for it. And you know what, Eugene? You stupid.
I will admit that. I almost failed grade 11 math.
The second thing that we want to address is my audio issue. There has been some audio issues in regards to our microphones, and it's because my mouth was too close to the mic like this.
Bro, chill. Hold on. Bro, what the hell, man? You can't just fuck your ears like that.
I apologize, and I will try to be way back this time.
Alright, so that's all the admin stuff out of the way, and episode 3, we really hope you enjoy this. Alright, Tommy, how was your week?
So besides, the fact that there's a lot of things going on this week in the NBA and a lot of games being played, and I know a lot of fantasy teams are currently in the second round of their playoff week, my week has been pretty good. I had a kettle that I returned, and I also made a complaint to the manufacturers because this kettle caught on fire.
Fire?
Yes.
So what do you mean?
Literally, my kettle that's supposed to boil water caught on fire.
Holy shit, dude. And what, you guys didn't burn down or nothing?
No, luckily my little brother was at home and saw it caught on fire and was able to put it out before anything bigger escalated.
Damn. Good thing you guys stopped the fire.
It was pretty bad because no one would expect a kettle to catch on fire, but it was definitely a defunct product. The wiring was definitely wrong, and it burned a hole to show the wires on the handle.
Wow.
Yeah, so I contacted their customer support and demanded for them to give me some form of compensation. Initially, they weren't happy about it, but they offered me a premium kettle that's about $35 more expensive than my original kettle. But then I asked it for them for their more expensive item, like a $300 juicer. At first, they said no, but then I had to whip out the Karen voice saying, do you want to see me have a house on fire before I'm able to even, get some fair compensation up in this bitch? Do I need to have my house lit on fire?
Preach.
I had to make it seem like it was a super severe issue, which it is. And in the end, they offered me that $300 juicer and the premium kettle.
That's very powerful, actually. And I'm very glad that you were able to prevent the fire. Unfortunately, in the NBA, however, the Warriors were not able to prevent the fire that lit up in Dirk Nowitzki. Wow, what an amazing game. We finally got a little bit of a old Dirk. It was his first ever 20-point game in the season. And for those who don't really know who Dirk Nowitzki is, he is a Dallas Maverick legend. He has consistently been on the team ever since he was drafted, and he single-handedly brought the Dallas Maverick into the finals and won them the championship.
Yeah, Dirk Nowitzki is definitely one of the few superstars who was really able to stay loyal and be able to do it all by himself and be the true one-team classic.
Yeah, and to this day, at 4,000 years old, Dirk Nowitzki continues to daddy fuck teams like what he did to the Warriors.
Yeah. Hey, didn't you work at a retirement home before as well?
Yeah, I worked at a retirement home for about a year, and I can tell you what, these old people can move. And for people to roast Dirk Nowitzki saying, oh, this man can't move at 40, y'all are tripped. Y'all never seen old people fuck.
Whoa. I know you did the overnight shift, but you never told me about the story about old people fucking.
Okay, yeah, so it wasn't actually at night. So for a little bit of context, I would work night into morning, sometimes even the afternoon. So yes, I was literally dead on the inside during the shifts. One time I was working, right? And I get a call from one of my coworkers saying, yo, go investigate this corridor area. And I was like, why? And my coworker said, yo, something weird's happening. He wouldn't disclose to me what happened on the radio, right? So I was like, all right, whatever. Probably just some old person's lost, because honestly there's a lot of like old people who unfortunately do get lost in the retirement home. So I just went upstairs, not expecting much, right? Lo and behold, I see older couple, definitely in their like 70s, just fucking. They're just fucking in the corridor, wide open in public. And I'm just like, oh shit, this man's fucking stroking. Man, he was deep in it, man. I was like, fuck, yo, I definitely do not have the stroke game as good as him. Like, he was going at it, and I was like, all right, fam, like, I don't want to stop you because, you're shit. It took you probably 40 minutes to get this hard. So, unfortunately, this is my job, so I definitely have to stop you. So, more of the story is, Dirk, you're not slow. Don't let these haters force you into retirement. Kevin Durant's right. You never even said that you wanted to retire, so continue doing your thing. If you want to continue playing, you continue playing, Dirk.
I would love to see Dirk come back for another year or two, just to beat a little bit more of those records. He's already the leader of having the most seasons played at 21 seasons. So why not make it number 22 and 23? Play older than Vince Carter.
Facts.
Yeah, but Dirk Nowitzki, I feel like even if he can't play on the floor next season, he should definitely come back just to really mentor the other younger white boys like Luka Doncic and Porzingis as well.
Exactly. And we got another white legend coming back to the NBA. I know you're very excited for this, Tommy.
Yes, I am. Jimmer Fredette is making his way back from the overseas of China into the hot as hell Phoenix Suns.
What a return. From an NCAA legend to a CBA legend and now a future Phoenix Suns legend. Move over, Steve Nash. There's a new white boy in town, and his name is Jimmer Fredette.
And you guys don't know how good Jimmer Fredette was actually. I think you guys might know. He was NCAA collegiate level legend, just like how Eugene mentioned before. But he had an NBA career that was lackluster and definitely did not meet up to a lot of people's expectations. So he fell into the Shanghai Shark and played some seasons at the CBA. And from there, he was able to become what people call him now, the Lonely Master.
I thought it was the Lonely God.
They initially called him the Lonely God, but he felt really uncomfortable by being called a god and being, referenced as someone of a higher being. So he referred himself as the Master instead.
Facts. And now the Master's back in the Phoenix Suns. Move over the league. Everyone is fucked. I guess the Lakers can't be even more fucked, right?
The Lakers are now officially out of playoff contention, and that was a little bit funny. And there was a quick statistic somewhere that in the first 65 years of the NBA Lakers' existence, they've only fell out of playoffs 5 times. And now in the last 6 seasons, they haven't made the playoffs. So, coincidence? I think not.
Yeah, there's definitely something a little bit deeper into it. And it's not just the Lakers as a team that's fucked. One of their best players, Lonzo Ball, is also fucked out of $1.5 million off of his own brand, Big Baller Brand. Now, for those who don't know, it has recently been reported that Lonzo Ball has officially left Big Baller Brand and has cut ties with the brand itself, has deleted all affiliation with Big Baller Brand and his father, who is one of the owners of Big Baller Brand. And the reason why this occurred is because of $1.5 million have gone missing within the company. They uncovered later on that the person who took that $1.5 million is one of the co-owners of Big Baller Brand in the name of Alan Foster.
That snake.
Alan Foster's a smart guy, LeVar Ball, who is Lonzo Ball's father, very caring guy. He completely believed in Alan Foster and his story of building the company up and helping them elevate. But little did he know, he's a snake and a finesser. He actually, previous to working with Big Baller Brand, he was the ultimate finesse god. He was, he was in jail for frauding?
Yeah, something like that. And he was in jail for a long time too. It was like 7 years. So the fact that, he comes out of jail and he was able to con his way into wealthy lifestyle thanks to the Ball family, it's really unfortunate to see Lonzo now not only in this mess, but he has $1.5 million of unaccounted money that was reported to the IRS. That means that he's forced to actually pay the taxes for it, even though that $1.5 million wasn't spent by Lonzo himself. So if I was Lonzo, I would probably want to sever ties and start something completely new.
I've learned this the hard way, especially with like Tinder and stuff, where you start building relationships with somebody and sometimes it doesn't work out, and when you try and force it, it just gets worse. So you got to learn to just let things go.
Wow. It seems like you've had some very traumatic experiences on Tinder.
Yeah, so I'm not going to name names. Her name is Karen. Shorty broke my heart and I didn't even meet her. It left me fucked up to this day. I write on my diary once in a while, just reflecting on what could have been. Cried myself to sleep for about a week straight, actually a month straight. At the end of the tunnel, I learned that there was nothing else to grab onto and you just need to move on.
It was actually, I remember this very clearly. You fell in love with the idea of this girl. You've only seen about 5 pictures of her. 10 pictures of her, and she always said that we'll hang out eventually, but you never did end up hanging out with her.
No, I didn't. That was probably the worst moment of my life. I was just like, fuck, dude, I actually fell in love with the girl on the internet, and my boy was like, yo, man, you pussy and shit, you weren't getting 5-starred enough in high school, you gotta be a fuckboy now, you gotta get a fade, you gotta go fuck some girls, and you gotta grow a beard out, be sick and shit. And I was like, fam, I honestly can't grow a beard. I got like pubes on my face. Like, you've seen me grow my beard out. It's not sick at all.
Yeah, you're gonna end up looking like James Harden then.
Are you dissing James, bro?
Yeah, his beard ugly as fuck.
Okay, that's a hot fucking take. James Harden is a 2-time MVP.
He's actually only a 1-time MVP.
Future 2-time MVP. You cannot say that this guy does not deserve MVP this season.
I actually think that he won't win it this season. I think that Giannis is gonna take it.
Are you crazy?
No, I think I'm just being very logical here.
I don't see where the logic is. I mean, James Harden's the offensive key to the Houston Rockets, who are pretty bad, to be honest, without him. He still plays pretty good team ball. Sure, his defense is not the best, but he makes up for it for easily the best offense in the NBA. Like, without a doubt, by miles.
Yeah. In terms of why I think Harden won't win, it's because overall, I feel like Giannis has just been performing significantly better and more consistently throughout. If Giannis wasn't in the conversation, easy, no-brainer to pick Harden, as he is a superior player. He is definitely doing stuff that we've never seen before, like averaging all those 50-plus points. I think he has hit over 8 of them now, and he's been carrying his team. But to me, I still think that's not enough over Giannis.
My guy, James Harden has played as much 60-plus game points as 10s-plus game points. Are you taking that in? He shot the same amount of games where he shot 60 points to like around 10 points. That's insane. You can't even argue this because James Harden's playing in a much harder division, whereas Giannis is playing in the East. Let's be honest, they're pretty free. He got easy teams to pick off W's with and to also stat pad a little bit with. And Harden is playing with actual tough motherfuckers.
Giannis is also playing the rest of the league as well, right? In terms of the competitiveness, the top 4, top 5 teams in the East is actually relatively on par with the West. Sure, the West is a little bit more aggressive, but Giannis is clearly the best player in the East and in the NBA.
However, Giannis also has the better team in the NBA as well. Let's face it, Chris Middleton's an all-star. Chris Paul is a shell of who he is before. Still playing well, but not as good as he was before. James Harden is realistically the only option for the Houston Rockets to ever push it to the playoffs. You remove James Harden, this entire team crumbles. And then sure, if you remove Giannis, they can fall out, but I think the beard is more deadly.
You say that the Bucks have a better team. Sure, maybe they do, but think about it this way. Giannis has a borderline all-star. Chris Middleton shouldn't be an all-star this year if you look at it by the numbers. He was given the nod because he was snubbed last year, and that's why he's given this opportunity now this year. If you put him and his stats beside Chris Paul this year, Chris Paul has a better stat all around, excluding maybe 2 points per game. So the fact that you take Giannis out, you already know the Bucks wouldn't be a top contending team. They might be even 5th, 6th in the same realm as the Nets with Giannis out of it.
Yes, however, if you take James Harden out of the equation in Houston Rockets, that team will not even be 8th. That team's probably going to be at the bottom of the West.
We won't really know that though because Harden has been playing a very isocentric offense where the Houston Rockets literally are building around what Harden can do.
However, aren't they kind of doing the same thing with Giannis?
Giannis has been out of games before, and even if you remove Giannis out of the equation, there is still a team dynamic towards this core. Harden, on the other hand, the game has been centered around him so much that we don't even know how the team will play without him. Could be a lot better than you would expect.
I do not have faith in that at all.
So let me tell you why I believe that Giannis is MVP.
Sure.
Obviously, right now it's a lot difficult to justify the fact that Giannis is MVP because in the last few games, Harden has been going off. He has been hitting 60-something point games. He's been getting the dubs. He's been pretty clutch. And I'll give it all to him. But that's also like relevancy bias. And this happens a lot, like in the Oscars and stuff, where there's a movie that comes out more recent than some of the other contenders. And the reviewers and the critic, they actually prefer the newer movie because they've seen it more recently than the other movie. Just like when you're watching a movie right now, you might think, what's your favorite movie? You think of a more recent movie that you watched. Unless it was a movie that you really enjoyed and you keep it on your top 10 list at all times, you might find new movies to top it off because it happened more recently. Just like how Harden's dominance is happening more recently. Giannis has been very good. His team is the best in the league. Giannis is best in the league. His coach is the best in the league. They have been the core structure and the leading team since day one. Harden has been struggling the first 20 games in the season. He's picked it up back now, but Giannis has been doing it on both ends of the floors. Something that you can't say about Harden. Harden is an offensive monster, but he lacks defense. Giannis is one of the few players in the league that is able to not only dominate offensively, but he can guard all 5 positions defensively. And if it wasn't for the fact that he's an MVP contention, you'll be hearing his name a lot more in the Defensive Player of the Year contention. He is statistically playing the best defense in the entire league, and he's playing better than Paul George, but for some reason, everyone's still saying George is going to win Defensive Player of the Year. So with that being said, it's all about narrative. And I think it just leads me to why I picked Giannis. Giannis has a better narrative. And do you agree with me to this? That why would the NBA choose someone who is highly controversial in their gameplay? There's a handful of people, like myself, I'm being fully transparent, that don't enjoy Harden's game. He plays a lot of iso ball. He does a lot of questionable tactics that, look like travels, get himself to the foul line. Those are all tactics that, obviously, as a team player, someone who enjoys watching team basketball, can appreciate. But Giannis, on the other hand, has been a dominant force since day one. So he's different. He's got it. Giannis for MVP.
Now, you say a lot about relevancy bias, however, and you're saying that against James Harden in the sense that he's relevant right now, and that's why people are calling him MVP. However, do not forget that James Harden went 30 games straight going over 30 points. And while he was still doing that, he was still contributing to the team. Sure, his offensive game style is still iso ball, but he still helps with rebounds, he still helps with assists. So there's no way you can say that he doesn't help out the team. It's just that he's helping out the team while still playing ridiculous games. And to this day, he's still an offensive beast. I'll be honest, I can't defend his defense at all. I really can't. Giannis is the clear superior defensive player, but I think in sheer offensive capability, James Harden is breaking records that we haven't seen in the NBA yet. And I think that has a little bit more weight than how he's contributing to the team overall. Because we're seeing some historical things happening with James Harden. And that is why James Harden for MVP.
And if you think about it in a third-party perspective, so let's take us out as fans.
Okay.
And focus on NBA as a business.
Okay.
Would they rather see a 2-time MVP or the beginning of a new MVP to take over the reins of LeBron's in the East?
Well, if you say it like that, then obviously you want a new LeBron coming in because James Harden already had his time. He already had his greatness. He already had his meme. Whereas Giannis is a freak. The Greek freak is here. You're also entering into a new market. You got new fans now. He's also very young with a lot of time to grow and become even better than what he is already. James Harden, I think, is capping off. This is the peak of what he can do. He can maybe do a little bit better in the next season. Whereas Giannis, the ceiling's still very high. And there's still lots of opportunities for him to grow even better than what he is. Obviously, of course, if you want to say it like that, then yeah, you want to build on Giannis to be the MVP, to build the storyline. However, numbers are still numbers. And James Harden, in my opinion, is still playing a better team, a better game of basketball as a single player.
Well, even then, you can see that Giannis has glimpse of him being able to take over. He had more unassisted dunks than 27 teams in the league, and one of those teams are the Milwaukee Bucks themselves. So realistically, the only other teams that are doing more unassisted dunks than him are Philadelphia and Miami Heat.
my guy, he's still carrying the Houston Rockets on a different level. Sure, they're not dunks, but he's definitely splashing on people.
And I know that you mentioned before that, we can both agree that Harden is the most offensive-driven player, most dominant offensively. But if you look at Giannis and basketball itself, it's a two-way sport. Defense wins championships. And obviously, in a very hyper-offensive season that we have never seen before, with points going over 120 points a game, and also the fact that everyone's shooting threes nowadays, defense should be valued even more, because anyone who can actually stop and hinder a team's fast pace should be rewarded for. And don't forget, if you're speaking statistics, Giannis is number 1 in the league with net rating at 12.6.
You know what? As much as I do push for James Harden to be MVP, I will admit Giannis is fucking amazing. And I can't talk shit about Giannis because the Toronto Raptors also have our own mini Giannis. Like, the fact that we're even saying a mini Giannis for someone so young and dominant speaks a lot of weight to his name. And the person that I'm mentioning that is a mini Giannis in the Toronto Raptors is, in both of our opinion, I think we both agree on this, the future MIP, and that's Pascal Siakam.
Yeah, Pascal Siakam is definitely one of the fan favorites in the Toronto Raptors because he was able to accelerate his growth in such a short time. But that is no surprise at all because he only started playing basketball like 7-8 years ago. So the fact that he was able to, accelerate that as a player and now into a high-level caliber player, that is actually incredible to see. And I know a lot of people, including ourselves, love D'Angelo Russell simply by the fact he's killing it in Brooklyn. He's making a team that no one expected to do well into a contending playoff team. Sure, it's in the East. Sure, there's probably still going to get knocked out first round, but it's fascinating to see. However, I don't think that D'Angelo Russell should get MIP because people expected him to grow into a superstar. No one expected Pascal Siakam to get to this level at all.
Yeah, and don't forget, D'Angelo Russell was drafted 2nd overall in his draft class, and he was always slated to be good until he got tainted for snitching on Nick Young. And let's face it, in all actuality, they should have just dropped the whole team and kept D'Angelo Russell and Julius Randle in exchange during the whole fiasco. So, and if those who don't know what happened between D'Angelo Russell and Nick Young, it's some TMZ type bullshit. Nick Young basically cheated on his then girlfriend Iggy Azalea, and D'Angelo Russell was the one that kind of broke the news. Honestly, I feel like he accidentally snitched. I'm a believer that he did it by accident, and I'm also a believer that sure, you need a team morale and shit, but D'Angelo Russell was the future face of the Lakers, and they sacrificed him for team morale. And who's still left in that team?
Yes.
There we go. LeBron's there now.
D'Angelo Russell, I think it was poetic justice for him to be the one to ice the Lakers from playoff contention this year. And it's just so rewarding to see him being able to excel as a leader of a group.
Very powerful. He definitely daddy dick LeBron, and I was like, oh shit. He finally put the final nail in the coffin, deleted the Lakers, and it was just delicious. It was wonderful. I am officially a D'Angelo Russell fan. I have deloaded onto the Russell wave, and I do really wish he could have a shot at MIP, but because of the competition this year, I would still give it to Pascal Siakam. Yes, I am a Toronto fan. Yes, I am a Pascal stan, but I think the numbers are very objective, and the storyline is also very objective. Sure, you got, this rising superstar that's got his first All-Star appearance this season. However, the Pascal story is much more interesting. Generally considered nobody, ended up being a starting player in one of the best teams in the NBA, and then somehow forging himself into the number 2 option in the team as well, just behind Kawhi Leonard, and sometimes even past Kawhi Leonard, because don't forget, Kawhi is off about 50% of the game, so Pascal actually takes a lot of the weight as the first option as well, and let's face it, Kyle Lowry is not a big offensive option too. So Pascal came from a nobody who wanted to play soccer to this future superstar that no one ever expected. And I think the same thing that you mentioned about Giannis, the narrative, you want to build this narrative around Pascal as well. D'Angelo Russell already peaked with him leaving Lakers and going to Brooklyn Nets. Now it's time for Pascal to have his story.
So you're saying that you agree with me on narrative, so that means that you also agree with me that Giannis is going to be MVP.
Okay, Giannis is an amazing player. He is the best two-way player in the NBA. But in sheer offensive power, James Harden is literally breaking records, and I think that is a heavier nod. But that's already beyond the story, and now we're going to talk about the MIPs, which Pascal is the wave, and we can both agree on this.
Yeah, but I don't want to discredit, especially what happened last week, which was D'Angelo Russell hitting his career high 44 points on a 25-point game comeback against the Kings.
Yeah, that was crazy. And that comeback was entirely led by D'Angelo Russell. Kind of interesting, actually, that D'Angelo Russell's career high is 44 points. Pascal Siakam's career high is also 44 points. Same season as well. Now, I would say that D'Angelo Russell is the more clutch player. You know, he is probably the most deadly player right now in the fourth quarter, where he can play with very little points at the start of the game for the first 3 quarters, and all of a sudden the fourth quarter just go absolutely nuclear, drop 25 and win the game. That is definitely something that Pascal has not reached yet, and is definitely a big talking piece for D'Angelo Russell being the MIP. Again, I'm a huge D'Angelo Russell fan, and in my opinion, I think there's only 2 players right now in real contention for the MIP, which is Pascal and D'Angelo Russell. If there was a perfect world, I would have them both win, but right now, in terms of the growth of a player, I think Pascal has still grown the most compared to D'Angelo Russell.
And I strongly agree with that as well. So it's good to know that on our podcast, we can at least agree that Pascal is the most improved player.
Okay, be real with me. Do you hate James Harden because his beard is sick? And you can't grow that?
I don't think his beard is sick, but I can definitely not grow that either.
I don't think I have enough hair in my body to grow that much hair on my face.
Like, I'm relatively a hairier Asian than other people. And I can't per se that, you know what, I don't think Asians look good in beards.
There's like 1-2 guys that look pretty good in beards that are Asian as well. I mean, I can't grow mine. If you see me, like, I just got 2 strands, like, growing out the side of my face, and it looks like I just got 2 little shit turds on my face. I got a dirty Sanchez.
Do you kind of wish that sometimes that we get better genetics, that we can actually grow out these, like, sick-ass beards?
I'm a firm believer of, like, equivalent exchange. Like, if we were to have sick beards, we have to give something up. So what do you think we would have to give up that's a good trait that Asians generally have?
Maybe our math skills?
I have nothing to give.
So what else did you give up?
Let's see. I don't have a bad personality. I got bad skin. I'm not even tall. What can I give up? Oh, my tiny forehead. I'll sacrifice a tiny forehead for a beard.
So then you'll get a big forehead, and you'll get a 5 head and a beard. Is that worth it?
I think so. Yo, okay. As much as I ripped on, like, bald people last episode, I didn't actually. I ripped on people who had hair that went bald voluntarily. If I already had, like, a 5 head, but I had a sick beard, I'd just shave it all off and just, like, you know, grow a sick beard, you know? That looks pretty fire.
I don't know if I'll ever rock a beard. That might just be personal preference, though.
I think I would look decent in a beard. You know, I'll be less ugly. Because I can't. I just keep a clean shave and I look 12.
My condolences.
It's okay. I forgive you.
But you know who else is young?
Trae Young.
Hey, how'd you know?
Dude, Trae Young's fucking amazing right now.
Do you think that he actually has contention for Rookie of the Year?
Oh, absolutely. He's playing fucking great. Like, sure, very rough fucking start at the beginning of the season. But right now, I think he's playing a better ball game than Luka. Now, I'm not saying this because I think Trae Young is going to be the MVP. My money is still on Luka.
You mean Rookie of the Year?
No, we're talking about MVP. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, Rookie of the Year. So, Trae Young started off the season very underwhelming. Super disappointing. Especially with this shooting. But now he's really come together. Plays very, very smart basketball. Shoots very well now. And is actually a very impactful team player. And he definitely does not have the turnover rate of Luka Doncic.
Well, last night, Trae Young dropped 32 points, 11 assists, and the game winner on the Philadelphia 76ers. It was actually a glimpse of what he can be, and the future looks really bright in Atlanta.
It does. It's going to be a very scary team, especially with John Collins there as well. Maybe Zion?
Maybe.
Now, Luka, on the other hand, was also one of the key players to leading the Golden State Warriors. Dropped 23 points off of 10 rebounds and 11 rebounds and 10 assists. He scored another triple-double.
Hey, don't forget the fact that he scored a triple-double in 3 quarters only.
That's powerful.
That is powerful. You know what? Regardless of what happens, I'm just so excited to see that, you know, there's going to be some great players to take over the franchise of NBA.
I'm also really happy that the East is finally getting some good players now and are choosing to stay there. Giannis, okay, don't shit on me. Giannis coming together. The Bucks are powerful. East got Brooklyn now. Soon they're going to have Atlanta. That's going to be a very offensively heavy team. Very powerful. And I'm excited for the future of the NBA. And honestly, I can see Rookie of the Year going both ways. But I think Luka got the consistency over Trae Young. I think right now Trae Young is playing a little bit better than Luka right now, but Luka has been consistently really good and has consistently been the number one option for the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, I love, again, I think I might have mentioned it before, but I love the fact that both the Atlanta Hawks and the Dallas Mavericks are just allocating so much of their resources this year into growing these players into potential stars. Unlike a lot of handful of other players that are in the league right now, being with limited rookie minutes as we were used to seeing, they're freely giving these players 35 minutes a game and controlling the offensive tempo and everything like that as well.
They definitely need to free Mo Bamba. I got host calling. Copyright infringement. We can't sing that anymore.
Oh, sorry. So, since we're on the topic of narratives this whole episode, and why Giannis will win because of a better narrative, and why Pascal will win because of a better narrative, what do you think would be the most interesting narratives in the first round seeding, ideally for yourself?
Ideally for myself, if I was to see the standings go up, right now I would like some changes right now in terms of standings for the matchups.
So let's start off with the East then.
Sure. So I would actually like to have the Milwaukee Bucks play the Brooklyn Nets. The way I format this is entirely based on what's the best way for the Raptors to win and come out the East and finally get past Eastern Conference Finals. So this is my ideal scenario. The Bucks face the Brooklyn Nets. Now, the reason why I want that to happen is because I want Miami Heat to move up and play against us. I know you want to for ulterior reasons. I want that to happen because I personally believe that the Miami Heat is a much easier team to play than the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets are actually quite deadly, especially with possible MIP contender D'Angelo Russell leading the way. Clearly, I don't want the Bucks to have an easy win as well. I think the 76ers versus the Pistons is actually a fantastic matchup. I really enjoyed that, especially with dominant big mans playing. It's going to be a very fun game, super entertaining. It kind of reminds me of the era where the Clippers versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Those matchups in the second or first round, always super entertaining, always fantastic. I love it. And the train wreck of the Boston Celtics will play against the Pacers. I am totally down for that. I think it would be very poetic and very juicy if the Pacers, without their star, deleting this slated to be ultimate basketball team out in the first round. I think that's going to be beautiful. And I do like the Pacers. They're a nice, hardworking team, and they're kind of like moral opposites of the Boston Celtics, where the team hates themselves. They always like to point fingers at each other, and they're always trying to just deflect blame. Whereas the Pacers, they have a problem, they seek a solution, and they work beyond that. And I think that's a great narrative where you got two polar opposites in terms of personality facing off against each other. So realistically, the only change I want to see is Brooklyn and Miami do a quick placement swap, and I think that's a fantastic round of matchups for the East. What do you think?
I think for myself, personally, I want to think of it objectively and just strictly on narratives. So I'm not going to try to put the Raptors with the Heats, just because that would be a very boring matchup, and we already know that the Raptors are most likely going to sweep them. So in an ideal, most juicy conference setup would be the Bucks versus Knicks. So Knicks falling down to 8th, with the Raptors facing the...
Wait, Knicks?
Did I say Knicks? I meant Nets.
We do not talk about James Dolan team anymore.
I'm sorry, guys.
Fuck James Dolan. Continue.
Okay, so Bucks versus the Nets, Raptors versus Pistons, because the Pistons swept the Raptors in the regular season.
Why the fuck do you want that? Do you want us to be embarrassed again?
No, but I do want to pull out the best narrative, and that is the best narrative, is that we are facing our former coach who has beaten us straight in the regular season. But I want the Pistons to lose in pure Dwayne Casey fashion, which is to get swept in the first round by another team, no matter of what the regular season statistics say. And that is juicy. Then you move on to the Celtics. I want to see the Celtics face off against the 76ers. That is a potential conference finals, semifinals matchup, and I just want it out in the first round. Have them battle at it. My guess is that the 76ers will pull through. But then again, Boston is always unpredictable, and they have these random strokes of miracle plays and showing signs of their former self. So that'll be very exciting. And then Pacers, I don't know, face the Magics or something like that. That would be kind of interesting.
Why not the Heat?
I just find that the Heat's going to be very...
It's Dwayne Wade's final season.
You know what? You're right. Okay. Heat versus Pacers.
I mean, it's a very underwhelming game, but, whatever.
I've already allocated all the good teams with good matchups.
I see. Okay, how about the West?
So for me personally, I would love to see the Spurs face off against the Warriors, and then have the Nuggets face off against the Jazz.
Nuggets face off against the Jazz? Okay, why?
Because they both seem like they're smaller market teams, and they're just hashing it out, right? They're both never really talked about by the media. They both have good players in terms of Donovan Mitchell and Jokic. I would love to see them going at it. Trailblazers versus Clippers would be very interesting, and I want to see Rockets versus Thunders to top it all off.
Okay, so I agree with you. I do want Rockets versus Thunders, and I'm actually going to do a quick swap. I would actually like to replace... I know this is impossible, but I would like to replace the Clippers with the Sacramento Kings in the playoffs, and I want to have the Sacramento Kings play off against the Golden State Warriors. Two California teams play against each other. And I think Sacramento is a little bit more entertaining than Clippers, and that's why I'm going to put them in. I want Jazz versus Nuggets, as you said. They're both two elevated teams that usually have good home court advantages, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be a very interesting matchup.
Wait, did you say if they both have home court advantage?
No, as in they've historically had good home court advantages.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of the elevation.
Mm-hmm.
So that leaves the Portland Trail Blazers and San Antonio Spurs.
I think I'll actually make some changes. I think realistically, having the Nuggets face off the Clippers might be entertaining. And then you put the Jazz against the Trailblazers, because I really want to see a Donovan Mitchell versus Damian Lillard face off. That might be very juicy.
Why do you think that would be juicy?
Having two guards going at it with each other.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, having like McCollum has been having a pretty lackluster year, but Damian Lillard has been having a very great season.
One of the most underrated players in the NBA, right?
Yes, for sure. I made a comment on Instagram saying that, and I got a lot of shit for it.
Well, good shit.
Good shit, yeah.
But you got a lot of shit for saying Giannis is still MVP, though.
Yes, I'm pretty sure I wrote that as a comment as well, and I got a lot of guys commenting saying, "Is he MVP now?" After getting injured, and I'm like, yes. Like,
remember that episode of SpongeBob where someone keeps asking, "Is this the Krusty Krabs?" I was like, "No, this is Patrick." "Is this the Krusty Krabs?" "No, this is Patrick." It's like when they're asking you if Giannis is still MVP, because he's not.
Wow. You know what? Like, to be objective, I don't care who wins MVP. They're both very well deserving. So, but for argument's sake, I am gonna stay true to my Giannis pick.
Yes, we've actually been trying to record this episode truthfully from the very beginning of Audio Huddle. It was very hard to figure out where we stand, and we didn't really record it because it's very tough choosing who would be the superior player between Giannis and James Harden. I guess we finally made a decision, and we don't see eye to eye in that. Fuck you, Tommy.
Fuck you, Eugene.
Fuck you, Giannis.
Fuck you, Harden.
Just jealous because he doesn't have a beard.
You're just jealous because you can't get as thick as Giannis.
I thought you were going to make a height joke, but you know what? Sure, I'll take it.
I can't make a height joke because you're taller than me, dude.
Well, you know what? True.
It's okay, but at least you can both agree on something, which is Pascal is going to be the MIP.
And we can also agree that Luka Doncic will be Rookie of the Year.
Yes.
Yes. Now, we said in the very beginning of the episode that we're going to have a little bit something special coming up at the end of this episode, and we're kind of near the end. Tommy, please.
Okay, so as a sign of appreciation for all of our current listeners and in hopes of getting some new listeners, we are going to plan a Instagram contest starting next week, and we'll be picking winners for our grand prize, which will be
a Giannis jersey or a James Harden jersey of your choice, any size.
Yep, and of course, we'll give you more information about that next week when we have the whole contest fleshed out. But we really do want you guys to participate and have a chance to win, and we look forward to really having this first contest out. We plan to have maybe monthly contests and continue to reward our viewers for taking their time, an hour out of their week, to listen with us.
Yeah, and again, we thank you guys so much for tuning in. We love all the feedbacks, the good and the bad, because again, we're happy when you're happy. So this is Eugene.
This is Tommy.
Audio Huddle
Productions.
Yo, should we make a song for this?
I don't know. Give us some feedback on if you guys enjoyed the whole auto-tune segment last week. If you guys do, then maybe we'll keep it rolling as something that we continuously do. But if not, then let us know too, because we don't want to waste your times with our singing.
Ooh, okay, I'll stop. Fans, not experts.
All right, goodbye.